What's going on? Will Freeman, revolutionary lifestyledesign.com, talking to you about motivation, the true source of motivation, what motivation actually is, and it's not what you think. It's also not necessary for you to get your goals accomplished. Dedication is what's necessary, doing things every day when you're not motivated, going to the gym when you have the flu, being productive when you don't feel well, doing sales calls when you don't want to. That's what gets you across the line. Motivation, however, is a fantastic luxury. It's wonderful to have if you're in a business where you're constantly motivated to do that business every single day of the year. And ideally, that's where you want to get to. But keep in mind, it's still about dedication. Is that what gets you across the line? So to understand motivation, to be able to get more motivation, you need to understand the root of motivation is motive or emotion, or a need that serves an impulse to an action. And we are emotional beings, we're not logical beings. Logic serves emotion, it's the other way around. Okay, everything we do is for the feeling, for the emotion, for the feels, man. To be in your feelings. Every day you want to wake up and feel good. And if something is not making you feel good, you don't want to do it consistently. Okay, hence why dedication to what gets you across the finish line, because you do stuff that other people are not willing to do, which allows you to become successful. If success was easy, if there wasn't pain at every single level as you level up, then everyone would be successful. So dedication gets you across the line, but even better if you can create and have the luxury of having a business or find ways within your current business to be able to be motivated. So motivation is a voluntary action in any given direction. Is not inherently positive per se. It's not like you're just as motivated to people are motivated to watch TV or do heroin. That's still a motivation. So what I'm trying to get to is everybody's motivated. When you think, oh, I don't have any motivation for this thing or the other, that's a myth. You're motivated. You're just not motivated for the thing that you're supposed to be motivated for. You're motivated to go chase girls instead of scale from 6 figures to 7 figures or 7 figures to 8 figures, or to spend time to eat junk food instead of eating healthy food. So every action you take has specific consequences, and the act of, let's say, like your motive, like one of your goals is to quit smoking, but then the act of smoking takes you further away from your long-term desire of quitting smoking, because you're actually motivated to keep smoking, which is what happens every time you have the emotion, the craving, and the reality is you are motivated to smoke more than you're motivated not to smoke. And you might have been motivated to not smoke 2 hours ago, and then this hour, now you're motivated to smoke, because life is a constant series of state changes. And a constant series of emotional changes means a constant series of motivational changes. So you've been forever and always will be motivated. Laziness is a myth per se. Okay, I'll still use that word in context. I'll still use that word as a type of a shorthand. But ultimately, you're always motivated. It's just whether that motivation is positive or negative. And the judgment, having the intelligence to be able to judge whether something is a positive or a negative action for you. Okay, so people watching TV, smoking cigarettes, all these things are motivated to do so. This is the majority of the population is motivated to do things that aren't going to make them successful long term, because really only 1 to 10% of people are successful. Hence the definition of success. It's at the expense of people who aren't successful. The vast majority of people are not willing to compete at that level and are more motivated to just get the workday done, to go home, to do the watch TV, watch The Bachelor, watch a Taylor Swift video, watch a cat video on YouTube. They're motivated to do that. So everybody's motivated. There's no such thing as not being motivated. There's only being motivated in a negative direction. And then there's the ability to judge that motivation. And negative motivation is what causes long-term pain. If you want a quick shorthand for it, usually the thing that you don't want to do is what you're supposed to do for your long-term happiness. And oftentimes the thing that you want short-term is going to be a detriment to your long-term happiness. That being said, that's not always the case. And there's, some things are good in moderation, but overindulgence kills them. So I try and live with a balance of like 50% today, 50% for the future. If anything, though, it's probably more like 70% for the future. That being said, I have some fucking lost years of my 20s to make up for. So I feel like that's reasonable for me to do. So actions bring you closer to your goal are good. Actions that bring you further away from your goal are bad. But you're motivated for both. Either way, you're motivated. So living for the long term requires a certain amount of sacrifice now for that larger pleasure in the future. Like, you have to be willing to sacrifice for your dream, or your fucking dream will get sacrificed. Let me say that again. If you're not willing to sacrifice for your dream, the sacrifice will be your fucking dream. So something is always being sacrificed. Something is always being risked. Okay, it's a risk not to pursue your dream, and to accept mediocrity, to accept subpar, like sub 6-figure income. That's a risk. It's a risk not to go after the girl that you want. Okay, so you're always risking something. There's an opportunity cost in everything. You're always sacrificing something, and you're always motivated. The question is, are you risking for the right thing? Okay, the thing that's going to massively benefit you in the future. Are you sacrificing for the right thing? Are you motivated for the right thing? Or are you just bullshitting yourself and saying you're motivated, but you're not? Or how do I find the motivation, right? I get that question a lot. Truth is, you just don't want it. You just haven't had enough pain to actually want the thing. It's like saying, how do I get motivated to jump out of a burning building? Well, hey, I don't want to run through fire, but I'm going to die inside of here, right? That's all the motivation I would need. But some people are going to die in that fire. They're too scared to leave. That's just the reality of it. They're more motivated to stay in that fire, right? Because it's too painful to run through those flames. So living on positive motivation increases pleasure over time. Living on negative motivation decreases pleasure over time. And a lot of the time, chasing short-term pleasure decreases pleasure in the long term. That's why everything in moderation. And choosing a certain amount of adversity per day, you can't get around that. You have to be able to do work every day, and you have to be able to, ideally do some form of exercise, even if it's stretching or something for your health, something for your wealth too, so you can, and some adversity in those areas, so you feel like you've earned the day, and then you can actually enjoy the rest. Okay, but you can't enjoy rest when rest is all that you do. In fact, that source of pleasure, which is a release from work, now becomes a source of pain. Just like when you were a kid and you stayed home all day, like I would stay home, skip school to watch The Price is Right. After 2 days, you're depressed, you have no energy, you have no motivation, because all you're doing is nothing. A lot of people have this dream to be like, oh, I'm going to make a bunch of money, then I don't have to work. That dream will quickly become a nightmare, believe me, because you have no adversity. We're not built like that. We're built to have missions. We're built to enjoy the progress towards a mission. We're built to always have, you want to have these different games available, right? I can play this personal development guru game, whatever the fuck you call it, for the rest of my life, because I know the guys at the top end of this, Tony Robbins, Grant Cardone, they're in their 60s. They're making $100 million a year. There's so much within this one game for me to play, for so many levels for me to go through for the rest of my life, that I'm never going to get bored of it. And there's so much stuff that I can incorporate and tell you guys that it's never going to get boring for me. But a lot of people don't have those positive games in their life. So where do they turn? They turn to the video game, right? Because that game is so much easier to play. You can just turn it on, turn it off. Okay, now that game in itself, like after a hard day of work, if you want to play an hour or two of video games, no problem. It's the problem when you're playing them 24/7 because you don't have any positive games in your life, and your motivation is to play those games because you don't like your reality, instead of the motivation of like, I've had enough, I'm going to change my reality, I'm going to level up my income, I'm going to go from 6 to 7 figures or 5 to 6 figures, whatever that may be. So you fear having to give up the pleasure of inaction and endure pain of action. And the pleasure of action plus the pain of inaction has to be greater than the pleasure of inaction plus the pain of action. Simply put, it needs to be more painful for you not to do the thing than it is for you to do the thing. Okay? It was a lot of pain for me when I started cold calling, but it was way more painful to like not have the potential for like a 6-figure income. I came out of trading. I didn't have any transferable skills. had to do it. It was the only other, I tried a few businesses, they flopped, had to go get that money, hated it. But I hated not having good money coming in even more. So I was motivated to do it by pain. Now it's much easier to be motivated by pleasure because I have so much more that I like out of this business. But to actually get the business to where it is now, and it's sort of systemized and optimized, and it's running like a well-oiled machine. I've got outsourced a lot of what I need to do, so I'm able to do these videos every day or every weekday. You know, it did really take some pain to get here, becoming an expat entrepreneur, all this stuff. But all those sacrifices were worth it to be able to enjoy what I do and have a business, have this lifestyle business where I actually enjoy what I like, able to afford me the kind of lifestyle that I want. And it's even easier to be motivated for it now because, you know, I can just wake up and do these videos and speak my mind and all this fun stuff. So in summary, you know, you don't have a problem with motivation. You're just motivated for the wrong thing. Okay, you have a problem with channeling that motivation into the right direction. And the source of that problem is pain. It's just not painful enough for you. My favorite YouTube guy right now is this guy, Wes Watson. You know, he just did 10 years in prison. And he's very honest about what he went through and very motivational. And he changed his life completely. You know, he was a hardcore gangster. And he just had enough pain in the prison system where he said, you know, enough. He's going straight and he's going to go to total positivity. And it took, you know, 14 months. It took, you know, being in prison, being in knife fights, 14 months in solitary confinement for him to change. Some guys are in prison their whole life, they never change. That's not enough pain for them, right? Now his motivation's full positive. And if a guy like that can make massive changes, anyone can, right? With enough pain behind you to change the motivation to, like, I'm not motivated for those negative things. I'm motivated for things that are going to help me long term. So you don't have a problem with motivation. You have a problem with channeling that motivation into things that are going to benefit you long term. And that's the solution you need to make. It's going to come from pain, and it's going to come from the pain of inaction, and it's going to come from the pleasure of visualizing, seeing the result of your future, and having the faith in yourself that you're going to be able to get to that next level and the next level and the next level and the next level, and be able to play that, you know, that game in various games for the rest of your life. And that's it, man. So I hope you found this message useful. If you need any help with this, revolutionarylifestyledesign.com/coaching. Get in my peak performance coaching plan or pick up one of my products, revolutionarylifestyledesign.com/products. I recommend my book, How to Get Organized. I run my entire life on the Tick app now. It used to be Wunderlist in the book. That's massive for motivation because it just handles everything for you. All you have to do is look at your phone and see whatever the fuck you have to do for that day. And it's so much easier to be motivated when you're organized. That being said, you don't have to do any of that stuff. You can just keep watching these videos, keep winning. Much love to you.